Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Prime. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. We straight away go to the big story coming in from Kunnur, Tamil Nadu. An army helicopter has crashed today. 9 people were on board who have been rescued. It is reported that Chief of Defence Staff, CDS, General Bipin Rawat too was on board. District Magistrate of the area and army officials have rushed to the spot. That's the news coming in from Kunnur, Tamil Nadu. An army helicopter has crashed in the region. The district magistrate and army officials have rushed to the spot to take stock of the situation. The army helicopter crashed in Kunnur, Tamil Nadu earlier today. Chief of Defence Staff, CDS, General Bipin Rawat is said to be on board. There were 9 people on board. 3 have been rescued of the 9 people who were on board. The big news coming in from Tamil Nadu. My colleague Nandita Dagar is joining us with more inputs. Nandita, these are disturbing developments coming in from Tamil Nadu. Fill us in with the details that we have at the moment.
Yes, hi Shubhendu. This is very grim news coming in. As of now, we are hearing that General Bipin Rawat, his wife, Mrs. Madhulika Rawat, his key aides, 2 of them were Nayaks, 1 Lance Nayak, 1 Brigadier, were also on board apart from the crew of the Mi-17, which includes a pilot, co-pilot, and of course technicians. So in total, we are told that 14 people were on board. 2 bodies have been recovered from the crash site. We do not know whose bodies they are. The others, of course, have been shifted, but to the Wellington Cantonment Hospital. They had very serious burn injuries on their bodies. General Bipin Rawat was traveling. He had disembarked a plane at Sulur, the Air Force base at Sulur, and he was traveling to Wellington. Wellington is of course known as he was supposedly to give a talk there, a lecture there, and he along with his wife had gone there. We do not have any confirmation of the rest of the people whose bodies have been recovered, and nor do we know whether the 2 people who have perished, the identity of those people. As of now, a very short and succinct statement by the Air Force saying that a Mi-17 version 5 helicopter has crashed in Kunnur. Of course, Kunnur is only 3 kilometers from Wellington. It is only about 16 kilometers from the scenic hill station in Ooty in the Nilgiris. It is a town over the Nilgiris. It was cloudy, it was raining during that time. In fact, just yesterday, it was raining at that time. We do not know what caused the accident. As of now, an inquiry, of course, will ascertain that. Initially, there were reports that a helicopter had crash landed. Now it seems that the locals are telling, eyewitnesses are claiming that they have seen the helicopter engulfed in flames. So this is all we have for you at the moment. Shubhendu, details as of now, we are also awaiting whether General Rawat and the others, his staff, the 2 people have perished. That is the reports that we are getting, and the rest have been admitted in the Wellington Cantonment Hospital with serious burn injuries. Okay,
Nandita, I understand that the details are still just coming in on this big story in Army helicopter that crashed. Meanwhile, Indian Air Force has just tweeted and put out a statement. An IF Mi-17 V5 helicopter with Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat on board met with an accident today near Kunnur, Tamil Nadu. An inquiry has been ordered to ascertain the cause of the accident. So there, the Indian Air Force, in that brief statement, giving details of the accident that has taken place. Indian Air Force helicopter has crashed in Kunnur, Tamil Nadu. It had 9 people on board. 1 of them was Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, and at this point in time, we are unable to confirm about more details. But let's again, Nandita, I'll connect with you with the details that are present at the moment about the number of people present in the helicopter, about the program for which General Bipin Rawat was flying. through Kannur. If you could take us through the details that are available at the moment with us.
Well, we are hearing that he was to attend a lecture, or he was to supposed to give a talk at the Wellington School or Academy of the Army. We also do not, he was accompanied by his wife and of course a brigadier who is the senior staff, chief staff officer of General Rawat. There were several army men, I think 2 Nayaks and 1 Lance Nayak also on board. Since we do not know who has perished, they are the ones we are, they are of course the usual the aides that accompany the general, and it is usual for senior army officials to have their wives in attendance with them at ceremonial functions. So it is no surprise that Mrs. Rawat was with him. The pilot, co-pilot, we do not know their names so far. We do have the names of the people who were in the retinue of General Rawat, but because this is a developing story and no confirmation of their safety or otherwise has come, we are unable to give you the names. Just telling you that there could be in Tamil Nadu the Modi government is building a defense corridor, so there could have been engagements there.
Right.
Coimbatore is one of the places where it will be located. Sulur, so, and also Wellington. So it is really no surprise that it is a hub of activity. So it is not a surprise that General Rawat was on a visit there. How long the visit was supposed to be,
okay.
He was just en route, we know that.
And Nandita, if you can again take a look at the details that have come in so far, 9 people, including General Bipin Rawat, were on board this military helicopter that has crashed in Kannur, Tamil Nadu. We have reports of 3 people being rescued. If you could once again take us through with the details that we have about how many people have been rescued and what was the state of the bodies found there.
Yes. Shubhendu, actually 9 people were the passengers on the Mi-17 V5. In total, including the helicopter pilot, co-pilot and other technicians, there were total 14 people on board, 14 personnel. Out of these 9 were the CDS, the Chief of Defence Staff, and his aides and his wife. His aides include 2 Lance Nayaks, 2 Nayaks, 1 Havaldar, 1 Brigadier, and 1 Lieutenant Colonel. So this is they are all his personal staff officers or PSOs, and one of them is the Brigadier is of course the advisor to the CDS. So this very grim news coming in, and we just hope that apart from the deaths that have been reported, the CDS and of course his aides, his wife and the helicopter crew are safe. We're just praying for that. He was en route from Sulur, the Air Force base in Sulur near Coimbatore, to Wellington. The helicopter has crash landed near over Kannur, which is about 3 kilometers as the crow flies from Wellington. And also the locals have reported that they have seen the helicopter engulfed in flames. These are eyewitness reports. The injured have been transferred to the Wellington Army Hospital, the cantonment hospital. You just updated me that there have been 3 deaths so far. As of now, what I have is that there were 2 deaths. So this is just something we have to wait and watch.
All right. All right. Nandita, you do stay with us while we try and access more details about this very disturbing accident that has taken place in Kannur, Tamil Nadu. We're talking about a military helicopter crash that has taken place earlier today in Kannur, Tamil Nadu, and senior army officials were present, including Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat was also on board this helicopter. The Indian Air Force, in a tweet message just a short while ago, also confirmed about this this helicopter crash, and also said that CDS, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, was also on board. This helicopter met with an accident today near Kannur, Tamil Nadu. An inquiry has been ordered to ascertain the cause of the accident. So the brief statement by Indian Air Force, not much detail yet about the well-being of the military personnel who were on board. Local officials, meanwhile, have reached the spot. Villagers have shifted two bodies to local hospital. Efforts are on to remove bodies and confirm their identity. The visuals that we can see that the chopper has been engulfed in fire, and it's also a difficult terrain to pursue rescue operations. My colleague Philip Matthews, who's based in Chennai, is connecting with us to get us more details. Philip, just take us through the details that you have about this military helicopter crash and also well-being of Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat.
Well, I can tell you that details are at the moment are very sketchy. What we know is that it was an MY-17 V5 helicopter which was carrying India's Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his family members and his aide. Apparently, the chopper was on a test between Coimbatore and, somewhere in Coimbatore and Sulur. And apparently, it was crashed just in the hills of the Nilgiris in a place near called Katniri. And we are told that local villagers were the first to reach the spot. They apparently removed a couple of bodies and shifted them to local hospitals. Now we have been told that as many as 15 individuals were on board, as per sources, including the CDS, his wife, press assistant, commandos, and of course the IAS crew. Local military officials from the nearby military establishments have arrived at the scene, and we are told that efforts are now underway. The district collector as well as the forest minister is also there on the location. We are told that efforts are underway to remove the bodies, identify them. Some of them have been charged beyond recognition.
Right. Philip, also let us inform our viewers that local military officials have reached the spot. Villagers have shifted two bodies to local hospitals of this military helicopter crash. And we need to confirm the identities of the injured and the bodies that have been recovered. Philip, while more details come in, if you can just tell us a little more about this place where the accident has taken place near Kunnur. It looks like a hilly terrain, a difficult terrain to also pursue rescue operations. If you could take us through the place, the hills where this chopper has crashed.
Well, the problem with
All right, we're trying to connect to our colleague Philip Matthews from Tamil Nadu, filling us up with the details about this military helicopter crash that has taken place. Those disturbing visuals of the remains of the helicopter really on fire, and we're yet to get details about the well-being of the people who were on board. Senior military officials were present, including Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his wife, and other officials. Once again, let's go across to my colleague Philip, who's reporting from Chennai. Philip, I was asking you about the terrain, the place where this helicopter has crashed. If you can tell us a little more about that.
Well, this is typical mountainous terrain. In fact, the Nilgiris, is the highest mountain range in the south, and the military has establishments in Bennington, where of course you have the Defence Services Staff College. So the CDS and his family members were on a visit to these establishments. Apparently, we are told that somewhere near Kunnur, a place called Katniri, that is where the helicopter has gone down. What the reasons are is still not very clear. But locals say that the helicopter crashed on a hillside, and parts of the helicopter were strewn all over the mountains. In fact, it could be seen for quite some distance below. So clearly, it appears to have been a fairly severe crash, and the helicopter per se doesn't seem to be retrievable. What they are doing at the moment, locals as well as rescue teams are doing is removing the bodies, shifting them to local hospitals. How many of them have actually survived the crash remains to be seen. The district collector as well as the state forest minister have also rushed to the spot. So we are being told that rescue and relief operations are in full swing. Of course, given the nature of the terrain, moving the injured to a hospital has been a very difficult task. There are military hospitals available nearby. Of course, there's a district hospital in Murti, apart from hospitals in Coimbatore, which is the nearest city as far as the Nilgiris is concerned.
And Philip, at the moment, what is the latest figure that you have in terms of well-being of the people on board, including Chief of Defence Staff? Nandita earlier mentioned that there were 9 passengers on board. This is excluding the staff, the pilot of the helicopter. What is the latest figure that you have about the people who were injured, who were moved to the hospital?
You know, we are getting varying figures from 9 to 14, but it's a little difficult to at the moment to confirm just how many of them were on board and how many of them are actually killed in the accident. We'll have to wait for further details from the Indian Air Force and military forces before we can confirm that.
Right.
As for the well-being of the CDS, of course, that again is something you have to wait for further information from official sources. All we know is that the injured and the bodies have been shifted from the site of the crash to nearby hospitals.
Right. Philip, if you could then take us through how this accident may have unfolded. What time is this accident, this helicopter crash, is likely taken place, and what is the weather in the region? Because we know in Tamil Nadu the weather has been quite inclement as well, and that can be a challenge for vehicles like helicopter or plane flying in such a context. If you could take us through how and when the accident took place.
Absolutely. In fact, the ministry has been having inclement weather for quite some time now due to the monsoon. Remember that the Nilgiris receives rain not just from the southwest monsoon but from the northeast as well. So it has been suffering from for quite some time, and in fact there were reports that there were reports of the presence may well have hampered the visibility of helicopter pilots, but we don't really know at this stage. But locals say that the weather there wasn't very suitable at that point of time. The visibility was not too good. That could have possibly contributed to the crash, but at the moment we don't really know until further details are released by the authorities.
All right, there. Thanks, Philip, for joining us with those inputs. Do keep a track. We'll connect with you in just a short while. Once again, we fill in our viewers with more updates and details as they come in of this military helicopter crash that has taken place earlier today near Kunnur in Tamil Nadu. Amongst the passengers, senior military officials, including Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his wife, and other senior officials were present. We still do not have confirmed details about the nature of damage that this helicopter crash has resulted in. The injured are being moved towards the local hospital. The locals are playing a key role in the rescue operations as well. The local district administration, army officials have all rushed to the spot. They're present there taking stock of the situation. The visuals you can see, it is a terrible, terrible crash that has taken place. The remains of the helicopter has been on fire and completely charred. About the details about the well-being of the people on board, we are still waiting for confirmed details to come in. This helicopter crash took place earlier today. The Indian Air Force also gave out a statement saying that the Indian Air Force helicopter carrying Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat crashed earlier today near Kunnur in Tamil Nadu. The locals were the first responders in rescuing the injured. We still to get confirmed details about the nature of casualty or the number of people who've been injured. Those details are still awaited. Let's again go across to my colleague Nandita Dagar, who's tracking all the details on this big story coming in from Tamil Nadu. Nandita, what is the latest that you can share with us about the military helicopter crash?
Yes, Shubhendu, what we are learning, actually I cannot speak. I am getting a very bad echo in my ears. If that can be removed, I'll be very grateful, please. I cannot speak like with my own voice echoing back in my ears.
Okay. Nandita, if I'm audible to you now, I understand that
you are audible to me.
All right.
But I am getting my own voice in my ears.
I think if our production staff can just fix that issue, Nandita's echo that she's hearing in a year. Meanwhile, the details that are just coming in. Military helicopter crashed earlier today near Kunnur in Tamil Nadu. Amongst the military officials on board were Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. Those are the visuals of the rescue operations. Locals, the local district administration, army officials have all rushed to the spot and have reached the spot, and an organized rescue operation is underway. But as you can see from the visuals, it's a hilly terrain, difficult terrain to undertake rescue operations. We yet to get confirmed number of people on board, those injured or any casualties. But this is a military helicopter. It has been confirmed that Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat was on board this helicopter. Indian Air Force also gave out a statement on Twitter confirming this military helicopter crash that has taken place near Kunnur in Tamil Nadu. And amongst the officials on board were Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and his wife and other officials. About the other confirmed numbers of people on board and injuries, we're yet to get those official details, but those visuals coming in of the rescue operation taking place, the helicopter that remains completely in flames. It's a disturbing and a devastating accident that has taken place of the military helicopter. Indian Air Force has also confirmed about the presence of General Bipin Rawat, CDS, on board this helicopter, and we're waiting more details about the well-being of all the officials and people on board this military helicopter. Once again, we'll try and connect with my colleague Nandita Dagar to get more details on it. Those visuals coming in from the venue, the spot where the accident has taken place. The remains of helicopter, from the visuals we can see, are completely charred. It's a terrible accident that has taken place earlier today near Kunnur in Tamil Nadu, and amongst the high-profile military officials on board includes Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, and we yet to get confirmation about the well-being of the people, the pilot and other officials on board this helicopter, which has met a very tragic sort of end. Those visuals can really speak volume about the terrible nature of the crash. The remains of the helicopter are completely charred. Rescue operations, in fact, was led by the locals first, as the sources inform us, and later the local administration, the army officials, they also rushed to the spot. There is very little detail that is available at the moment about the well-being of the officials on board, including Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. Those details, as they confirmed, we'll be sharing with you, but at the moment those are the visuals that have come in of the military helicopter crash that has taken place earlier today, and amongst the military officials on board were Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. Once again, let's connect with Nandita, my colleague, tracking all the details on this big story. Nandita, if you can hear me clearly now, take us through the details that you've gathered at the moment about this crash.
Yes, Shubhendu, what we are currently learning is that General Rawat is, these are reports coming in. I'm sorry, I cannot say that they are official confirmations. There are reports coming in that General Rawat is in hospital. He is, there are severe burn injuries on his body and face. This is what we are learning of. This is only on the fate of General Rawat. As for the others, we are getting inputs that 5 people have perished out of the 14, which include 9 passengers. These are, of course, the CDS, his wife, Mrs. Madhulika Rawat, and 1 brigadier, 1 lieutenant colonel, 2 lance nayaks, 2 nayaks, 1 havaldar. These are his aides. Apart from them, the others are the helicopter crew, which is the pilot, the co-pilot, the technicians on board. The Mi-17 version 5 is a very sturdy helicopter. There is no reason to doubt the efficacy and the safety of the helicopter. This is one of the few crashes that the helicopter has seen, and one of the rare ones. Let me just add that. Also, the as of now, the reports that I am getting, putting a caveat, of course, that these are not confirmed officially by any official spokespersons. They are not corroborated by the district officials over there. They are not corroborated by the Ministry of Defence. We are getting reports that General Rawat is in hospital with severe burn injuries that happened when the Mi-17 version 5 helicopter that was carrying him from the Sulur Air Force Base to Wellington crashed. The eyewitnesses and other reports say that the helicopter was up in flames, engulfed in flames. Bodies have been retrieved. There have been 5 deaths in this. The rest of the people have been shifted to the Wellington Cantonment Hospital. Wellington, of course, is the site of the Defence Services Staff College at Wellington. It's in the Nilgiris district. It's very near Ooty. Also, about 86 kilometers from, more than 90 kilometers from the town of Sulur or Coimbatore. So the Chief of Defence Staff had taken a flight from Delhi to Sulur near Coimbatore, and from there he was flying in a chopper to Wellington, where we are told that he was supposed to deliver a talk or a lecture. It's very common for wives of senior officials to accompany them for ceremonial engagements, and therefore it's not a surprise that Mrs. Madhulika Rawat was with him. As of now, these are the reports that we are getting. Shubhendu, the Mi-17 V5 had these passengers. The Chief of Defence Staff had his advisor with him, who is a brigadier and a lieutenant colonel. All the other, the two Nayaks, the two Lance Nayaks, one Havaldar, they were his aides or personal staff of officials, and we do not know the identity of the people who have perished in this. As far as reports are concerned, 5 deaths so far reported. Again, underlining the fact that these are not commercial, these are not official confirmations. These are not corroborated by the Ministry of Defence or the Tamil Nadu government or the district administration or the police over there. We are told that these are all the details that we have at the moment.
Okay. Also, Nandita, a little on the nature of rescue operation underway. From the visuals that we have, we can see it's a very difficult terrain to operate in, and the locals, the villagers, may have been the first respondent to this terrible accident. What do we know about the rescue operation that has been underway? Are all bodies recovered? The injured, have they all been recovered by the rescuers? What details are coming in at the moment? I know the details coming in are thin at the moment.
Drip by drip information trickling in. Shubhendu, what I know is that the locals were, of course, the first ones to have sighted the debris and the crash and the flames, and they were the ones who tried to extricate the people and from this burning inferno. Also, the district officials, police, fire brigades, and with water bowsers are, of course, there. The Indian Air Force has also rushed teams to this site because it is for them, it was their platform, so they were they are very keen to actually preserve all the evidence that they can to find out how the accident took place, because of course a board, as you know, a board of inquiry or a court of inquiry has been ordered into this crash, with the reasons of which, of course, is a detailed study that will follow. That investigation will take into evidence all the evidence, the black boxes, everything, and then only we will be able to tell you why the helicopter crashed. But without giving any speculations, let me just say that the weather at that point of time, as it is usually in the Nilgiris, was cloudy, foggy, misty and rainy. So could it have been what could have been the reason of the crash?
Right.
Would only be known in if not months, in weeks only. So
Of course,
we cannot expect a very quick answer to that.
Of course, details are just trickling in. Nandita, do continue to stay with us. While let's also go across to my colleague Aisha Khanum, who's joining us with more updates on this big story, a disturbing military helicopter crash that has taken place. Aisha, what is the latest that you can share with us?
Well, Swindu, we are told that many of the injured have reached Wellington. They were rescued, some of them were rescued by the villagers who reached the spot initially, and they were taken in their own vehicles, and they have managed to reach the Wellington hospital. And we are told that the hospital is attending to the injured, but the list that has been released with the names of these 9 people who were traveling with the CDS says that they are critical, obviously, because this accident, this crash has been very severe and ghastly, because the helicopter caught fire when it crashed, and the people who have been rescued had their clothes burnt on their bodies. So this is the hospital and the villagers are still helping the teams there. The forest department from Tamil Nadu, forest department officials from Tamil Nadu have reached the location, and they are rescuing people. They are trying to douse the fire from the helicopter, and And initially the challenge was to bring out people from the injured people from this terrain, because Ooty is a very hilly region near Wellington. There are deep valleys, there are forest, dense forest. So that was the biggest challenge for the people to give immediate first aid and reach them to the hospital, because this terrain itself is, though it is a tourist hub, a tourist place, hilly region, but it was a challenge when a helicopter crashes on this scale. It is very difficult to immediately shift the injured to the hospital. So right now we are told that the rescue teams are reaching, and also teams from Air Force, from Bangalore Yelahanka Air Base will also have been told to be on alert, and they are likely to take off from Yelahanka Air Base or Bangalore. And also, if the injured people require more medical treatment, they are likely to be shifted out of Wellington, because Wellington is a military hospital which has all the advanced and modern medical facilities, and if it requires that they need to be treated outside Wellington, they are likely to be shifted to Bangalore or Chennai, or straight away to New Delhi. So right now the information is that some of the injured who have reached the hospital are being treated, but the list that is released to us still says that the condition is very critical.
All right, and if you can go through the details about the numbers, Aisha, if we have such information with us at the moment, how many people amongst those on board have been rescued who are injured? Because Nandita a short while ago mentioned, it's not confirmed of course, that General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Defence Staff, is one of the severely injured persons rescued from this crash site. If you can take us through the details that you have on this at the moment.
Well, we don't have details on how many people were rescued, in what condition they have been rescued. This is not clear. The list only says that Bipin Rawat, CDS Bipin Rawat and his wife and other of his staff members, totally 9 people, including him, are in critical condition. There is no clarity on how they have been rescued and what is the level of injuries. So we are still awaiting details from the Air Force officials, and we will be able to give you more details once these details emerge.
And Aisha, if you could fill us in with the manner in which this accident unfolded, whatever details are available. This helicopter, military helicopter, crashed in a very difficult terrain. It's a hilly terrain, as you earlier mentioned. What time of the day did this crash likely took place? And the first responders were the locals, is what our sources have informed us at the moment.
Well, it seems like this helicopter took off, Mi-17 took off from New Delhi to Sulur, and Sulur is the place where it would have landed, because that is the nearest airbase station from where the CDS could go to Wellington College, where he was to deliver a lecture. So we are told that this was headed towards Sulur, but it crashed near Wellington, which is the heart of Ooty district as such. So this place is very hilly, and this has a lot of hairpin bends across, and it is one of the best tourist spots where people come to see this terrain. And an accident and a crash happening in this area, in this region, is and also this large scale where we see the helicopter engulfed in fire. It is very difficult to understand what would have gone through on the survivors and those who have been rescued. And we are told that this happened around 12 noon, and then the villagers heard a sound, and then they saw fire in the forest. First they thought it could be forest fire, but then they rushed to the place. They rushed with whatever they had in their hands. We saw that the villagers applied their presence of mind and brought out blankets in large numbers and took the injured on those blankets, because it is if the fire, if they have to douse the fire, it is easier to use the blanket and douse the fire. So they were shouting for people to come out with more blankets, bring out their vehicles, and take the people to the nearby hospital, and then they realized that they could shift them to Wellington. By then the Tamil Nadu forest
Aisha,
people and reached them to Wellington hospital.
right, Aisha, do stay with us while we have a tweet message. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has expressed sorrow over the crash of the Indian Air Force helicopter in Tamil Nadu's Kunur. The minister in a tweet said, and I quote, "Shocked to hear about the tragic crash of the helicopter with CDS Shri Bipin Rawatji on board. I pray for everyone's safety and well-being." Union Minister Nitin Gadkari sending out that message on Twitter. All right, those visuals again is what we have at the moment about the site of the military helicopter crash, carrying senior military officials, including Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. His wife was with him. He was flying with his colleagues for an official program. This helicopter crashed near Kunnur, and you can see the terrain. It's a hilly terrain, very difficult terrain to undertake rescue operations. The locals, villagers were the first responders. Now, of course, earlier the army officials and the local administration has also rushed to the spot and taken care of organized rescue operation. The injured have been moved to the local hospital. The details of how many injured people have been moved to the hospital and in what condition, those confirmed details are yet to come in. But those are the visuals of this devastating helicopter crash that has taken place earlier today. Timing is said to be approximately 12 noon earlier today. And locals played a crucial role in trying to rescue people on board this helicopter in flames, and those charred remains of the helicopter are visual. There the visuals. My colleague Philip Matthews, who's present in Chennai, connects with us again. Philip, take us through once again the manner in which this disturbing helicopter accident is likely to have taken place and what details are coming in at the moment.
Tell you is that the weather, at least in and around the area called Kateri in the Nilgiri, was not very conducive actually for a landing. What we are told is that the area was enveloped in fog and mist for quite a while. The helicopter which had taken off from the Sudur Air Base in Coimbatore was to land at the Wellington facilities of the Defence Services Staff College, which is a premium military establishment of the Indian Armed Forces in Wellington. But en route at a place called Kateri, apparently the helicopter crashed on the hillside, and we are told that the local villagers were the first to reach the spot. In fact, we are told that the first bodies were removed by local villagers, and it was only thereafter, around half an hour to 1 hour later, that we had officials from the military as well as district officials reaching the spot. But the IAF, of course, confirming that the CDS Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, his wife, and aides were on board along with senior officials. What we do know, we don't know the identities of those who've been deceased, because we are told that the accident was so severe that a number of bodies have been charred, so we will have to wait for confirmation. But what we do know is that the number of casualties are likely to go up. That's what district sources say. In fact, district officials say that the parts of the helicopter as well as the bodies were strewn all over the hillside. And as the visuals clearly indicate, it was a crash of fairly severe magnitude.
Right, an absolutely disturbing really development coming in from Kunnur, Tamil Nadu. Philip, also take us through the manner in which the rescue operation has been carried out, the local hospital where the injured have been shifted, and the kind of role that the local administration and the locals have played in trying to act on this crisis.
Well, the biggest problem, of course, is access to this area, and given that it's a hilly terrain, and this is along the aerial route between Coimbatore and Wellington, so it's not necessarily an area that is easy road accessibility. And so it has taken the rescue team some time to get to the spot. But it is the first visuals as well as the first rescue operations of that area were carried out by local villagers. Thereafter, of course, rescue teams have reached there. The district collector as well as the forest minister, state forest minister Ramachandran, also rushed to the spot. They have now, the operations are now in full swing. Of course, not all the bodies have been recovered as yet, so we will have to wait and see what the final tally is. But for the moment, we are told that 4 bodies have been recovered and 3 have been shifted to hospital. This is the figure that we have at the moment. So we just have to wait and see what further confirmation is received from the military authorities.
Right. What is also disturbing, Philip, is that it is a state-of-the-art helicopter carrying the senior official, chief of defence staff. These are said to be very sophisticated and safe, and to have crashed, it is also raising serious doubts about the nature of the accident.
Well, naturally, but we will have to wait and see whether it was due to bad weather or whether it was due to some malfunction. Malfunction as far as the helicopter is concerned. That is something that only an inquiry can establish. But what we do know is that the weather in the area was inclement over the last few days. In fact, Ooty, the Nilgiris, and in fact parts of Tamil Nadu have been receiving a fairly incessant rainfall over the last couple of weeks. So this combined with fog and mist would have really made things difficult for the helicopter pilots. And in fact, it is the norm that as far as the Nilgiris is concerned, flights are generally operated only when the weather conditions permit. It's quite possible that given the change of weather, the pilots may have been taken by surprise. But we will have to wait and see till we get further confirmation about the cause of the crash.
And about the latest information, Philip, about the number of people on board and the manner in which, if the rescue operation has rescued those injured or the casualties that have taken place, has that rescue operation completed or is it still underway?
No, the rescue operation hasn't been completed yet. We, as I said, the reports we're getting is that 14 people were on board, including 9 who had flown in from Delhi. So we just have to wait and see just how many people are accounted for at the moment. So until all those on board are accounted for, the operations are likely to continue.
And where are they shifted now, Philip? The injured, they're being shifted to the Wellington Hospital or local hospital. Do we have that detail with us at the moment?
Well, what we do know is that the injured and the dead have been shifted to the military hospital at the Defence Services Staff College in Wellington. Where, as you know, the military has a major establishment in Wellington. One of the country's premier defence training establishments, the Defence Services Staff College, is located there. You also have the regimental centre of the Madras regiment, which is headquartered in Wellington. So it's clearly a major military establishment, and the military hospital there is reasonably well equipped. But whether it will be adequate enough to deal with the injuries that have been caused in this crash remains to be seen. Right. Otherwise, the injured will have to be ferried to hospitals, to bigger hospitals in Coimbatore, which is about 3 hours away from Connor.
Right, Philip, do stay with us while reactions and prayers for well-being of those on board this ill-fated helicopter are coming in. There's a tweet by Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia. He says, distressed to hear the news of an army helicopter crash carrying CDS General Shri Bipin Rawatji and other senior army officials praying for their safety and well-being. The Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia sending his prayers. Earlier, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari also shared his distress upon this accident that has taken place and praying for the well-being of Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and others who've been on board. The tweet coming in from Union Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia says, distressed to hear the news of Army helicopter crash carrying Chief of Defence Staff General Shri Bipin Rawatji and other senior army officials, praying for their safety and well-being. Once again, let's connect with my colleague Philip Matthews, who's tracking all the updates from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Philip, if you could, with the details that are present at the moment, and they're really trickling in, the challenging time also to put together that sort of content. But if you could just take us through the manner in which the incident was first reported. It is said to have taken place, this accident, at about 12 noon earlier today. the first responders, and how the district administration and the army officials rushed to the spot of the accident. Just take us through the sequence of the events.
Well, what we are hearing is that the first reports were, of the accident came in from local villagers who alerted district officials, and thereafter, of course, district administration swung into action along with military officials who were also alerted to the fact that the helicopter had deviated from its set flight path. So that clearly was another cause of concern. So thereafter, of course, both the district civil administration and the military officials rushed to the spot. We are told that rescue operations began within half an hour to 45 minutes of the accident taking place. But in the meantime, it was local villagers who actually rushed to the spot and engaged in rescue operations till the officials arrived. So what we understand is that it was the villagers who removed the first bodies from the site of the crash before the administration stepped in later, along with military officials.
Right, Philip, stay with us with some details coming in. District officials say that 4 bodies, in fact, have been rescued from the site, recovered from the military helicopter crash site in Nilgiris. They were shifted to the military hospital in Wellington at a short distance. 3 injured persons have also been rescued and moved to the hospital. So the details and data is really trickling in about this ill-fated military helicopter that crashed near Kunnur in Tamil Nadu, and we're trying to put together the data and the details that are coming in. This ill-fated military helicopter, the visuals that you can see on your screens are the visuals that we've been able to access. The remains of the helicopter on fire. High-profile military officials were present in the helicopter, including Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. His wife was also present. They were on the way to attend an official program, and on the way near Kunnur in the Nilgiri Hills, this military helicopter crashed. The Indian Air Force also confirmed the details of the helicopter and the crash, and saying that Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat was also present in this helicopter. The details of the number of people and the identity of people who've been seriously injured or the casualties are still not clear, still not available at the moment. So we'll wait for those confirmed details to come in. But from the visuals that we can see on our screens, we can see what a terrible crash it must have been. It's also a difficult terrain around the Nilgiri Hills for rescue operations to take place. Our reporters inform us that the locals, villagers, were the first to spot this crash, and they were also the first to participate in the rescue operation till the local administration and the army officials also joined in. The rescue operation is still on. The remains of the helicopters are on fire, making the rescue operation all the more difficult and challenging. My colleagues in different parts of the country, they are tracking all the updates and filling us in with the details. Philip, who's in Chennai, if you can connect with him once again. Philip, some details has come in about the injured being moved to the local hospital, but again, the terrain and the nature of the crash that we are witnessing in the visuals does talk about the horrific moment all the people on board must have experienced at a short while ago when the crash took place.
Absolutely. In fact, given the terrain and the fact that the Nilgiris has been experiencing inclement weather for quite a while, in fact there were reports of fog and mist enveloping the hills early this morning. So clearly that could have contributed to the crash. At the moment, this is in the realm of speculation. We don't really know, but it's quite possible that this could have hampered visibility, and the pilots probably would not have been in a position to actually to sight their exact travel path, and it's quite possible that they may have crashed into the hillside due to lack of visibility. But at the moment, this is only in the realm of speculation. We don't really know, but whether it was a mechanical malfunction or whether it was due to bad weather. But locals certainly have confirmed that weather wasn't very suitable for flying, and therefore, the surmise is that bad weather possibly contributed to this crash. Of course, what we are getting to hear now is that the casualty figures are likely to go up further. In fact, we are told now that 5 people have passed away, and 4 are in hospital with severe burn injuries. So we'll have to just wait and see just what the toll will be. But we are told that expert teams have also been rushed from Coimbatore as well as from Ooty, Udagamandalam, to help in the rescue and relief operation.
Right, Philip. And meanwhile, prayers, of course, are pouring in for the well-being of those on board this ill-fated helicopter, including, of course, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. Philip, tell more details come in about the number of injured and the casualties. Once again, if you can go through the details that we have at hand at the moment, could fill us in with the details of the program that General Bipin Rawat was participating in. What was his movement from the point where he was flying to where he was supposed to reach?
Well, the CDS was, had reached Sulu Air Base in Coimbatore this morning, and from there, as I said earlier, he, along with 8 others from Delhi, was supposed to fly down to Wellington, where one of the country's premier training establishments for the defense forces, the Defense Services Staff College, is located. He was supposed to visit the college, and of course his wife was also with him and other aides. What we do know is that he was supposed to be there today as well as for a couple of days, but this particular accident clearly was something that has taken everyone unawares. In fact, reports tell us that the Staff College Wellington, where he was supposed to visit, is currently most officials there are in a state of shock. Many of them are clearly unwilling to come on record. But we do hear that, given the fact that he was supposed to visit the establishment, this is something that has taken most people completely unawares.
Right, of course, prayers that are on for the safety of General Bipin Rawat and the other officials who were present in this ill-fated helicopter. Philip, also at the moment, what developments are you accessing from the sources in the Army in particular? The Chief of Defence Staff is the head of the Army, Navy and the Air Force, an official as senior as him, meeting an accident as disturbing as what we have seen in the visuals does create a very worrying situation for all verticals.
Well, the problem is that the crash site is in a forested area, which makes access quite difficult, and that is part of the reason why it has taken some time for rescue teams to reach the spot. In fact, the visuals clearly show that the wreckage is scattered along the hill slopes, and rescuers have been struggling through the fire as well as through thick smoke to get to the bodies of the injured as well as those who've been killed in the crash. So it's clearly made life very difficult. The fact that this has happened on a hillside has made access very difficult. As I said, it being an aerial route, it's not easily accessible by road, and it's a forested area close to Coonoor, on the flight path between Sulu Air Force Base and Wellington in the Nilgiris. So we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, no confirmation about the identities of those killed. We just have to wait for the military authorities to issue a further statement in this regard.
Right. Philip, also Indian Air Force earlier, a short while ago, in fact, had confirmed about this crash and also mentioned the details of this helicopter. How much do we know at the moment about how sophisticated such military helicopters really are in terms of safety, the kind of high-profile passengers that they carry?
Well, generally, helicopters carrying high-profile, dignitaries on board are generally, the safety record of such helicopters is generally very good. Therefore, it is a bit surprising that an incident of this sort is taking place. But as I said, given the fact that there was bad weather in the area, we just have to presume at the moment, for lack of any other evidence, we just have to presume that the pilots were probably hampered by a lack of visibility or probably by a sudden turn for the worse as far as the weather was concerned, which may have taken them by surprise, and that could have resulted in them crashing into the hillside. But for the moment, as I said, this is in the realm of speculation. We don't really know. We just have to presume that bad weather played its part until we get any further confirmation from the military authorities.
And Philip, the visuals that we've been able to access and the ones that we're showing on our screens to our viewers, we can also see what appears like a lot of locals participating in the rescue operation. It's hands-on, using buckets of water to douse the fire on the remains of the helicopter. What details are coming in the manner in which this rescue operation is taking place? You'd mentioned it's a difficult terrain. not really accessible by road. It's an air route where this crash has taken place. So in what manner then the rescue operation is unfolding at the moment?
Well, what they have done is, the ambulances as well as other rescue vehicles have managed to access a road nearby from where, the rescue teams have had to, actually basically climb down the hillside and reach the spot. So that has taken time, and from there, they've had to shift them either on stretchers or on, using other equipment to move the injured as well as the dead to the nearby hospitals. But that has made things difficult. Accessing water, for example, to put out the fire was also, we are told, was quite difficult, given the fact that, fire engines can't reach the spot very easily. So that was also another reason that that probably hampered the operations. But that, of course, goes with the nature of the terrain, and it's something that the rescue teams have had to battle with, and that could possibly contribute to the toll as far as this accident is concerned.
Right, Philip, stay with us while we take our viewers once again through the details that have come in, and data and details have been really trickling in, given the serious nature and the difficult terrain where this military helicopter crash has taken place. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat was one of the persons on board. Now, the Indian Air Force Mi-17 V5 helicopter crash took place near Kunnur, Tamil Nadu. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat is also on board. The Indian Air Force also confirmed that a short while ago. The local officials, district magistrate, army officials rushed to the spot after learning about the accident. It's the Indian Air Force helicopter crash at Kunnur in Tamil Nadu. 3 people on board have been rescued. Now, this figure is also changing with more details that are trickling in. District officials say 4 bodies have been recovered from the crash site. Casualties, they have been shifted to military hospital in Wellington. As we speak, this crash site is near the military cantonment in Wellington. 3 injured persons have also been rescued, and they've been moved to the hospital. The Indian Air Force Mi-17 V5 helicopter was airborne from Sullur, and this crash took place near Kunnur in Tamil Nadu. It was flying from Sullur to Wellington, and Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, his wife, and other officials were on board this ill-fated military helicopter. The visuals of the remains and the wreckage you can see on your screens is the difficult terrain amongst the hills of the region. For rescuers to reach the scattered remains and wreckage of the helicopter, and the efforts in which the locals also said to have played a very crucial role in providing relief and rescuing. Initially, when they learnt about this accident, Aisha Khanum again is joining us with more updates. Aisha, details are trickling in about the number of casualties and also the injured who've been moved to the hospital. Any details about the identity, especially about the well-being of Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and others?
Still no clarity on as to about General Bipin Rawat's condition, but we are told that 4 bodies have been recovered, but still the names of these the bodies have not been disclosed. And also we are getting some reports that General Rawat is responding to the treatment, but we are not sure about it because the Air Force has not confirmed about this the line of treatment that is happening at the Wellington Hospital, and everything is right now not clear about as to what is happening inside the hospital, because the way the people who were rescued from the wreckage, it looked like they had severe injuries, and the clothes on their bodies also burned completely. So it looks like it is the injuries are very severe, and as the list pointed out that the condition of all those who have been taken to the hospital is critical. So we are still not sure who these 4 bodies that the government, Tamil Nadu government, is has said that they have recovered. But right now we are told that extra medical teams are being rushed out to Wellington, especially teams from Bangalore, Yelahanka Air Base will take off to Wellington, and also from Chennai, teams are being rushed out to Wellington Hospital. Remember, Wellington Hospital is a military hospital, it is a cantonment hospital, and it has all the facilities which can treat such crashes or casualties. So this hospital will now be assisted by several teams that the Air Force is planning to fly out to assist the medical teams at the hospital. So at the moment, things are not very clear as to what line of treatment is being given to the injured who have been taken to the hospital, because the Air Force has not given any official statement with regard to this, except the fact that we know that the condition of all the 9 people, the list that was released with CDS Bipin Rawat and his wife and other staff members, all their names, the list points out that they are all critical.
Right, and as more details come in, Aisha, we're trying to stay with details and updates about the terrain, about the nature of the accident that we know. And one of the things is the difficult terrain in which this helicopter has crashed, which has made the rescue operation more challenging. And Philip also informed that that region also sees very inclement weather, including dense fog, which is very challenging for any pilot to maneuver through.
Yes, absolutely. And the weather has been very dicey from the past few months in South India, and several parts of southern India has been experiencing heavy rainfall, and especially Ooty is one place where you see fog and mist throughout the year. And this hilly region is a very difficult terrain, and it has several hairpin bends. That's what makes the rescue operation very challenging. So it took a lot of time for even the rescue teams, the villages, to bring the injured to the hospital, because the terrain is very hilly, and it really takes a time to reach the hospital. So the weather here initially looks like has been cruel to this when this helicopter took off. And also since it's a hilly region, there are also Nilgiri plantation. The forest is dense here. So we don't know at what level the helicopter was flying, or was it trying to negotiate the fog, the mist during that time, because it was around mid-noon. So it is still not clear if the fog had cleared around that time, because mid-noon you see clouds a bit clear. But at the moment, the Air Force is not in position to give us all the details about what led to this accident. So we have to wait for the court of inquiry to finish their preliminary inquiry, and also the black box from the helicopter will have to be traced, and then we can then probably the Air Force will be in position to tell us what led to this fateful crash.
Right, Aisha, also we know time is of the essence in injuries and accidents of this nature. If we have more details about the rescue operations after the locals responded and then the administration also reached the spot, how far was the local hospital? We told that Wellington Medical College is where the injured have been moved to. What is the approximate distance? How far and how long does it take? Because the terrain is not very easily accessible through road.
Yes, absolutely. As I said, there are a lot of hairpin bends across this entire hilly region. Even if you have to travel about 100 kilometers, it takes around 3 to 4 hours
Right.
to move on this region. And since this crash happened very close to Wellington, it is on the foothills of a hill. It took a time for the rescue team to reach, around 1 hour's time to reach the Wellington hospital. And also remember, they did not have any well-equipped ambulances or vehicles to carry the injured, because the villages acted with the presence of mind, with whatever available resources they had on hand, with whatever vehicle they had on hand. There were no ambulances at the spot at that time. So it is just the mere presence of mind with which the villagers worked and brought these people out of this place. And then the forest officials reached the scene, and they also assisted the villagers in taking out the injured and reached them to the hospital safely. So it would have definitely been very challenging for the rescue teams and for the villagers to take them to the Wellington hospital and give them treatment. But the fact that the Wellington hospital, being a military hospital, the cantonment hospital, is well equipped with all the facilities to treat such injuries. So it is a kind of at the moment it is a blessing because the injured will get immediate treatment here because the surrounding villages do not have good medical facilities. So Wellington Hospital, being a military hospital, will attend to all these kind of injuries to these people. And as I said, people in around these villages and across the country are praying that CDS is safe and recovers soon.
Right, Aisha, I understand that details are really scarce at the moment that is coming in, but about well-being of Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, what do we know about the nature of injuries that we may have sustained and how is responding to the treatments?
Well, even once again, there is no, as I said, there is no detail about the line of treatment and the injuries that they have been suspect. But it is very clear that when a crash of this magnitude occurs, it gets more related to the spinal injuries, the head injuries, and also the fact that the helicopter caught fire when it crashed. Shows that they would have also sustained burns on their bodies. So at the moment, looking at the pictures, initial pictures, we can assess the kind of injuries that these people who were traveling in this helicopter would have met with. And also there could be head injuries as well. And the fact that the helicopter crashed on amidst the dense forest, and there are huge trees, we can see huge trunk trees fallen around. And if the helicopter had crashed, and people could have also been thrown out of the helicopter, so it could be very ghastly and very disastrous. Even explain and describe about the kind of injuries the people traveling in this helicopter would have gone through. So right now the hospital will look into all these injuries that they have sustained and will treat them, and we have to wait for official statement from the Air Force to tell us, to brief us about the line of treatment that they are giving to these injured passengers.
Right, Aisha, also prayers are pouring in for the well-being of all the persons on board, and of course Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. Just to understand, when a senior most military official meets an accident of this severe nature, are there some military protocols that also come into action in a situation like this? Of course, details are still not available about the nature of injury faced by Chief of Defence Staff.
Yes, absolutely. There are protocols. Even if a normal crash occurs in Indian Air Force, there are protocols after which the Air Force declares about the crash and the injured people, and if there are any fatalities. But in a case where the CDS was traveling in this helicopter, so there has to be protocols, and we know that the Defence Minister is briefed about it, and we are also told that the Defence Minister has also briefed the Prime Minister about the kind of injuries and the crash that has occurred here, and only then we will know the details. So Air Force goes by all the since it was an Air Force helicopter, it goes by all the procedures and all the protocols in place, and only then it gives out the information. So even if a training helicopter crashes, the Air Force takes time to confirm about it, and also says that a court of inquiry has been ordered, and only then we will have to wait for details. So at the moment, it involves CDS, and he is a Chief of Defence Staff. So there has to be more procedures and protocols in place, and only then we will probably get an idea of what is going inside the Wellington hospital. But Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has been briefed by the senior authorities, and he is also likely to brief the Prime Minister about all that has happened from 12 noon till now.
Right. Again, going back to the details about the rescue operation, Aisha, it's a difficult terrain around Kunur in the hills where this ill-fated helicopter crashed. It had Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and others on board. In terms of people rescued, is that rescue operation complete, or is it still on? Do we have any update on that at the moment?
Well, initially the villagers reached the place, and they did rescue and they brought out the injured. But once the forest department officials reached the spot, and also the district collector reached the spot, they have taken the things under their control, because right now it is important to sanitize the entire area, and also to barricade the crash location, because that is where all the details and all the clues will be lying around this helicopter crash site. So now the district officials are at the spot, and they are recovering the material. They are also trying to locate the black box from the helicopter, and at the moment we are told that all those who were traveling in this helicopter have been rescued by the villagers and also the district authorities, but we are not sure about their condition, in what condition they have been rescued. And we saw in some of the pictures the villagers carrying people in blankets, and they were appealing to people to help others also and carry them in the blankets and take them in the car to the hospital. So at the moment everything is under wraps. We are not sure about what line of treatment and how many people have been rescued in safe condition and how many are critical, because the list only points out that the 9 people along with General Bipin Rawat are in critical condition.
Of course, while those details come out, Aisha, if you talk about the nature of the accident that took place and the time of the day when it took place, 12 in the noon, what do we know from the eyewitnesses, initial eyewitnesses, in the manner in which this accident took place? One, of course, version is the inclement weather that may have significantly contributed to this aircraft crash.
Well, absolutely. The first thing is about the weather, because they say it could have been very foggy around that time, and also it could be the helicopter may have been getting ready to land at Sulur. Sulur is very close from this site of crash, so it may have there may have been some miscalculations in the landing procedures, but we are not authorized to say those things because we are not technical people. The Air Force will give us all the details and the picture about what actually happened. So at the moment the villagers the villagers say that they heard a loud sound, and they could see smoke coming out from the forest, and the villagers initially thought that it could be a small fire inside the village, and maybe the villagers are warming themselves up as they do in this dense forest, because it is very cold in this region. So that was the initial impression by the villagers, and when they rushed to the spot, they saw it was an helicopter that had crashed, and it was an Indian Air Force helicopter. And then the villagers jumped into action, and they tried to rescue people one by one, and all the youngsters in the village gathered, and they formed a team, and they tried to bring out people from there, and whatever material or sources they had on hand, with the help of that, they took them out and took them to the nearby hospitals. But then the Wellington Hospital is close by, so it took about an hour's time for them to reach Wellington Hospital because of the terrain, because of the hilly region. And then right now all the treatment is being taken place at the Wellington Hospital. But as I said, we don't know what line of treatment that is being attended to at the hospital.
Right, Aisha, of course it's too early to confirm the details of what may have caused this devastating accident, the crash of the military helicopter that was carrying Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat and other officials. However, what is disturbing is that usually these helicopters are very well equipped to meet contingencies. They're safe, they're superior, and to have met an end, the visuals of which we are seeing and showing on the television screens, that's quite worrisome.
Yes, absolutely. The Mi-17, Mi-8 series of helicopters are very sturdy helicopters. They have been acquired, they are Russian-made helicopters, and these helicopters are used in the warfare. They are used for the rescue missions. Recently, even during the floods, these helicopters were used for the rescue missions to reach people and rescue people from the flooded region. So these helicopters are very sturdy and of the new generation. but the fact that an accident occurred, we are not sure about what technical problem could it would have faced, or whether it was just bad weather or any misjudgment or a pilot error. So at the moment, we don't know any of these reasons what led to the helicopter crash. So at the moment, we are told that Mi-17, a sturdy helicopter crashing like this, and remember also they use this big helicopters to fly into areas like Ooty, like Shimla, and all the hilly regions, Leh, Ladakh, because this is where the helicopters is trusted upon, most trusted upon helicopters. These helicopters are. So and this helicopter crashing, and also the fact they are saying that it was a bad weather, it will be left to the Air Force to come to conclusion as to what actually happened and how this sturdy helicopter, dependable helicopter, failed today.
Right, Aisha, as we await more details to come in, once again, if you could refresh the numbers in terms of the injured who've been moved to hospital, about the casualties. We know that identity of any of the affected persons has not been revealed as yet. We don't know that, but in terms of number of injured, number of casualties, if you could just refresh our information.
Well, as per the list, we have got about 9 people are critical, and that includes CDS Bipin Rawat and his wife Malika Rawat. She is critical, and also his staff. All these people have been categorized as critical. But the fact that 4 bodies have been recovered, we are not told about the identities of these bodies and what led to their deaths. So we have not been given any details about this. We are awaiting details from the Indian Air Force to give us the details about these recovered bodies. But at the moment, what we are looking at is for information from Wellington Hospital and from Indian Air Force is the condition of CDS Bipin Rawat, because people are praying across the country for his safety and for the well-being of the other survivors in this helicopter crash. So right now, we are awaiting results from the Wellington Hospital and also Indian Air Force. And as I said, the teams, medical teams from Bangalore are also likely to fly out from Yelahanka Air Base to assist the medical teams at Wellington Hospital right now.
Right, Aisha, of course, prayers are pouring in. Earlier Union Minister Nitin Gadkari, Civil Aviation's Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia also sent out their messages praying for the well-being of all the people on board, including Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. And sources also inform us, Aisha, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi may have been briefed on the crash defence, or on this crash, and Defence Minister is in fact monitoring the whole situation very closely. That really brings me back to the old question that I'd asked you earlier about when senior dignitary, senior military officials of the rank of the Chief of Defence Staff meets with an accident of this nature, although the details of it, of his well-being, are still not clear. What kind of protocols come into action, and how does it affect the sort of chain of command, if I may say?
Yes, absolutely, because right now, see, initially we saw the tweet by Indian Air Force that an accident occurred, and then we saw that the tweet was also deleted because it perhaps they did not use the right words to describe this fatal crash, so then the tweet was deleted. So it is very important that the protocol, the procedures, and the language that needs to be conveyed now to the country is important, and the Air Force and the Indian Army takes into consideration all these procedures and protocols. As I said, the Defence Minister will talk to the heads of all the 3 forces, and then perhaps it will be conveyed to the Prime Minister about the details, and then we will know the details of what actually happened in this fatal crash. At the moment, as we see, there is no much details coming out from the Wellington Hospital as such, because no one is authorized to talk about the condition of those who are critically injured in this accident, and the doctors are not authorized to speak offhand. They have to brief the Air Force chief or the Army chief, and then it goes to the defense minister, and only then, once the procedures are followed, we will get detail of about what actually happened and how this led to this fatal crash.
Right. Aisha, also talk about Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. Prayers are pouring in for his safety and the others who were on board. He's said to be travelling for delivering a lecture through this ill-fated helicopter, and he's been quite active in engaging with the youth while fulfilling his responsibilities as the topmost military official in the country. So in that manner, he had many responsibilities on his shoulders.
Yes, absolutely. General Bipin Rawat is a very dynamic personality, and I recently met him at Bangalore when there was a conclave, Air Force conclave, to celebrate India-Pakistan War's 50 years anniversary, and it was General Bipin Rawat who was in command of this entire conclave, and he was seen interacting with people and the young, and he was even with media, his approach was very friendly. So at the conclave, we interacted with him just recently, a month ago, and General Bipin Rawat inspires the youngsters, and also he inspires his
staff. All right, Aisha, some more details would be coming in. I'd like to stop you just for a moment. We'll connect with you in just a short while again, but thanks very much for putting all those details as they're coming in on this ill-fated helicopter air crash that has taken place, and on board was also Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat. We still cannot confirm the safety and the well-being of those on board, but the injured have been moved to Wellington Medical College and the treatment is on. We're heading for a short break. We'll be on this big story and bring you all the updates as they come in. A short break. We'll be right back.